There is something in your kitchen right now, something you probably ate this morning, that is quietly destroying your liver, cell by cell, day by day. And the most terrifying part? Your doctor has likely never mentioned it. Not because they don't care, but because most physicians never connect these dots until it is far too late. The medical community calls it the silent epidemic. I call it the invisible poison hiding in plain sight. And if you are over 60, your liver is already fighting a battle you do not even know it is losing. Stay with me until the end, because the number one hidden liver destroyer on this list is consumed by over 80% of Americans every single day. A landmark study published in the Journal of Hepatology found that people who eliminate just this one thing from their diet show measurable liver regeneration within 21 days. 21 days, yet almost no one talks about it. I am Dr. Christopher Hayes, a physician specialized in senior health with over 15 years of dedicated clinical experience. I have sat across from hundreds of men and women over 60 who came to me exhausted, bloated, foggy, with aching joints and sluggish digestion, convinced they were simply getting old. What I found again and again was a liver under siege, a liver that had been quietly attacked for years by foods that are marketed as healthy, even recommended by well-meaning doctors. What I am about to share goes against a lot of conventional wisdom. The food industry spends billions of dollars making sure certain truths stay buried. But I have seen the blood work, I have watched the ultrasounds, I have heard the relief in patients' voices when the damage finally begins to reverse, and I refuse to stay silent any longer. If this information already sounds important to you, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It tells me you are serious about protecting your health, and it helps this information reach the people who need it most. Let us talk about what is actually happening inside your liver after 60. Your liver is the most hardworking organ in your body. It performs over 500 functions every single day. It filters your blood, processes everything you eat and drink, produces bile for digestion, regulates your cholesterol, balances your hormones, stores energy, and neutralizes toxins. Every chemical, every medication, every bite of food passes through it. But here is the problem. After 60, your liver's regenerative capacity drops by nearly 40% compared to your 30s. The enzymes responsible for detoxification slow down. Blood flow to the liver decreases. The liver's ability to process fats, filter inflammatory compounds, and regenerate damaged cells becomes significantly impaired. Now imagine introducing a steady stream of harmful compounds into a liver that is already working at reduced capacity, day after day, meal after meal. That is exactly what is happening to millions of older Americans right now, and here is what terrifies me most. Liver damage is almost entirely silent in its early and middle stages. There is no pain, the liver has no nerve endings. By the time symptoms appear, such as fatigue, yellowing skin, abdominal swelling, and mental confusion, the damage is often advanced. A study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease now affects approximately 38% of adults over the age of 60 in the United States, nearly 4 in 10, and the majority have no idea. The good news is this: your liver is also the most regenerative organ in your body. Given the right conditions, given the removal of what is hurting it, the liver can begin repairing itself rapidly. That is what this video is about. I have identified 7 hidden liver destroyers that appear in nearly every senior American's diet. We are going to count them down from the most commonly overlooked to the absolute worst offender, the one that is likely doing the most damage to your liver right now. Before I continue, I want to ask you something. How old are you? In your 60s, 70s, maybe beyond? And do you eat packaged or processed foods at least a few times a week? If the answer is yes, type liver in the comments below. Let us see just how many of us are unknowingly in the line of fire. Let us begin. Number 7, low-fat and fat-free packaged foods. This one surprises almost everyone. For decades, we were told that fat was the enemy. Low-fat yogurt, fat-free salad dressing, reduced-fat crackers. They are still marketed heavily to older adults as heart-healthy choices. But here is the truth that the food industry does not want you to know. When manufacturers remove fat from a product, the food tastes terrible. To compensate, they load it with sugar, refined starches, artificial stabilizers, and chemical flavor enhancers. The result is a product that your liver must work overtime to process, with almost none of the nutritional benefit. Research published in the journal Nutrients found that individuals who regularly consumed low-fat processed foods had significantly higher levels of liver triglycerides compared to those eating whole, natural fats like olive oil and avocado. Higher liver triglycerides are a direct precursor to fatty liver disease. Here is what happens inside your body when you eat these products. The excess sugars and refined starches spike your blood glucose. Your liver, responsible for managing that glucose, converts the overflow into fat. That fat accumulates in liver cells. Over time, it triggers inflammation. And that inflammation, left unchecked, leads to fibrosis, scarring, and ultimately, irreversible liver damage. The pro tip here is simple but powerful. Simple. Stop judging foods by their fat content. Start reading ingredient labels. If a product contains high fructose corn syrup, maltodextrin, or any form of added sugar in its top 5 ingredients, put it back on the shelf. Your liver will thank you immediately. Number 6. Vegetable and seed oils. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil. These oils are in almost everything. Restaurant food, packaged snacks, margarine, salad dressings, crackers, frozen meals. They are cheap, shelf-stable, and aggressively promoted as heart-healthy alternatives to saturated fat. But there is a serious problem that has become increasingly clear in the research. These oils are extraordinarily high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now your body needs some omega-6. The issue is the ratio. In a healthy diet, the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids should be roughly 4:1. In the average American diet heavily reliant on these oils, that ratio sits at 20:1, sometimes as high as 40:1. This extreme imbalance drives systemic inflammation. And your liver, as the body's primary filter, is the first organ to absorb that inflammatory burden. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that diets high in linoleic acid, the primary fatty acid in these vegetable oils, produce significant increases in liver fat and markers of liver inflammation, even when total caloric intake remained unchanged. What makes this particularly dangerous for those over 60 is the way these oils behave when heated. At high cooking temperatures, vegetable and seed oils oxidize rapidly, producing toxic compounds called aldehydes. Research published in Frontiers in Aging found that regular consumption of oxidized oils accelerates cellular aging in liver tissue specifically. The solution? Replace vegetable oils with extra virgin olive oil for low to medium heat cooking, and with small amounts of real butter or coconut oil for higher heat. These are not the enemy. The industrially processed seed oils are. Number 5. Artificial sweeteners. This is one that shocks my patients more than almost any other. They switched from sugar to artificial sweeteners specifically to protect their health. Aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, acesulfame potassium. They are in diet sodas, sugar-free candies, low-calorie yogurts, protein bars, and hundreds of other products marketed directly at health-conscious seniors. But here is what the research is revealing, and it is deeply concerning. A 2023 study published in Cell Metabolism found that artificial sweeteners disrupt the gut microbiome in ways that significantly impair the liver's ability to process fats and regulate blood sugar. The gut and the liver are intimately connected through what is called the gut-liver axis. When your gut bacteria are thrown into imbalance, your liver pays the price directly. Aspartame specifically has been shown in studies published in the journal Applied Physiology, Nutrition, and Metabolism to promote oxidative stress in liver cells and elevate liver enzymes even at doses within the accepted daily intake levels. And here is the additional insult. These sweeteners do not even accomplish what they are supposed to. Because they stimulate sweetness receptors without delivering actual calories, they confuse your metabolic signaling. Your body prepares for sugar that never comes, which disrupts insulin regulation and paradoxically increases cravings for sweet and fatty foods. For those over 60 whose liver detoxification pathways are already operating at reduced capacity, even modest daily exposure to these compounds adds a significant burden. The pro tip here is this: if you need sweetness, use small amounts of raw honey or pure maple syrup. These contain trace minerals and antioxidants that actually support liver function. Or better yet, train yourself to appreciate the natural sweetness in whole fruits. Your liver will begin recovering within days of removing artificial sweeteners. Now, I want to take a moment to share a story that I think many of you will recognize. I remember Patricia, a 74-year-old retired school teacher from Atlanta. She came to my office complaining of persistent fatigue, a dull heaviness in her upper right abdomen, and what she described as a fog that never quite lifted. She had been managing it for 2 years, blaming it on poor sleep, and as she put it, just getting old. Patricia was one of the most health-conscious patients I had seen. She exercised 3 times a week. She avoided red meat. She drank diet soda instead of regular. She used low-fat everything. She had done everything she thought she was supposed to do. When her blood work came back, her liver enzymes were elevated. Her ultrasound showed early signs of fatty liver infiltration. She looked at me and said, "Doctor, I don't drink. How is this possible?" I explained what I am telling you now. I walked her through the specific products she was consuming every single day, products she had been told were healthy, that were silently overwhelming her liver. I gave her a clear protocol: remove the artificial sweeteners, replace the vegetable oils, eliminate the low-fat packaged products. Within 6 weeks, she returned. Her liver enzymes had normalized, the fog was lifting, the heaviness in her abdomen was almost gone. She said, "Doctor, I feel better than I did 10 years ago. I had no idea food could do this. I thought I was just falling apart." That is what most people believe. They believe the decline is inevitable. It is not. and Patricia is proof of that. Number 4, excess sodium from processed and restaurant foods. Most people think of sodium as a heart and blood pressure issue. It is. But what is less commonly understood is the direct damage that chronically high sodium intake inflicts on the liver. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Hepatology found that high dietary sodium intake significantly increases the severity of liver fibrosis, the formation of scar tissue in patients with existing liver disease, but perhaps more importantly, it also accelerates liver damage in people who have no pre-existing liver condition. The mechanism is twofold. First, excess sodium disrupts the balance of fluids in and around liver cells, causing cellular stress and inflammation. Second, the liver must work intensively to regulate sodium metabolism, pulling resources away from its other critical functions. Here is the staggering statistic. The American Heart Association estimates that the average American consumes approximately 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. The recommended limit for adults over 60 is 1,500 milligrams. That means most older Americans are consuming more than double the safe level every single day, and the source is not the salt shaker on your table. Roughly 70% of sodium intake comes from packaged, processed, and restaurant foods: soup, bread, deli meats, canned goods, condiments, frozen meals. The practical action here is straightforward. Cook at home as much as possible using whole, unprocessed ingredients. When buying packaged items, look for products with less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving. Season your food with herbs, garlic, lemon juice, and spices instead of salt. These are not just flavorful, many of them are actively liver protective. Before we continue, if you are finding this genuinely eye-opening, please take 2 seconds to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. My mission is to deliver honest, research-backed health information designed specifically for adults over 60, the kind of information that can genuinely change the trajectory of your health, and please share this video. Someone in your life needs to hear this today. Number 3, refined carbohydrates and white flour products. White bread, white rice, regular pasta, crackers, bagels, muffins, most breakfast cereals. These foods have had their fiber, their vitamins, and their minerals stripped away through industrial processing. What remains is essentially pure starch, which your body converts to glucose almost immediately upon digestion. For your liver, this is catastrophic in the long term. Every time you eat a high glycemic refined carbohydrate, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. Your pancreas releases a surge of insulin to manage that spike. The liver then converts the excess glucose into triglycerides, which are stored as fat. Over time, with repeated daily spikes, this fat accumulates within liver cells themselves. This is the direct mechanism by which non-alcoholic fatty liver disease develops. Research published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that adults who consumed the highest amounts of refined carbohydrates had a 64% higher risk of developing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease compared to those consuming primarily whole grains and complex carbohydrates. After 60, this process is dramatically accelerated. Insulin sensitivity declines naturally with age. Your liver's capacity to process glucose surges diminishes. The cumulative effect of decades of refined carbohydrate consumption sits in your liver as fat, as inflammation, as fibrosis. The pro tip here is not to eliminate carbohydrates, it is to choose them wisely. Swap white bread for genuine whole grain bread with at least 3 grams of fiber per slice. Replace white rice with brown rice, quinoa, or cauliflower rice. Choose steel-cut oats over instant. These swaps are simple, they are affordable, and for your liver, they are transformative. Now, if you believe that food choices can genuinely reverse liver damage, type yes in the comments. If you are still skeptical, type 0. Either way, I want to hear from you. Your response helps other viewers know they are not alone in this. I want to share another story with you. This is about James, a 69-year-old retired postal worker from Chicago. James had always been a bread and pasta man, 3 meals a day, every day, built around refined carbohydrates. It was the way he had eaten his whole adult life. Cheap, filling, comfortable. He came to me after his annual physical showed elevated liver enzymes for the 3rd consecutive year. His primary care physician had told him it was probably nothing to worry about, maybe just a little extra weight. But James was worried. He had watched his older brother develop cirrhosis despite never drinking heavily. He did not want that to be his story. When I reviewed his dietary patterns, the picture became very clear. I worked with James on a simple, gradual transition. We did not overhaul his entire diet overnight. We started by replacing his white bread with whole grain. We swapped his regular pasta for a lentil-based version. We introduced sweet potatoes where he had been eating white rice. 3 months later, his liver enzyme levels had dropped 40%. He had lost 11 pounds without consciously trying to diet. But more importantly, to James, his energy in the afternoons, which had been essentially non-existent for years, had returned. He told me, "Doctor, I didn't realize how bad I felt until I started feeling good again. I thought tired was just my normal." It's not normal. I just needed to feed myself better. You do not have to accept tired as your normal. You do not have to accept foggy as your normal. You are not broken. Your diet has been broken, and you have the power to change it. Number two, alcohol. Even in moderate amounts after 60, I know this is uncomfortable. You have probably heard for years that a glass of red wine in the evening is good for your heart. There is a reason that advice persists. For younger adults with fully functional livers, light to moderate alcohol consumption has shown some cardiovascular benefits in certain studies. But after 60, the equation changes fundamentally. And here is why. Alcohol is processed almost entirely by the liver through a two-stage enzymatic process. In the first stage, alcohol is converted into acetaldehyde, which is a highly toxic compound. In the second stage, a liver enzyme called ALDH converts acetaldehyde into a less harmful substance. The problem is that the activity of this critical enzyme declines dramatically with age. After 60, your liver processes alcohol significantly more slowly and produces significantly more toxic acetaldehyde than it did when you were younger. A 2022 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that adults over 60 who consumed what is considered moderate alcohol, 1 to 2 drinks per day, showed liver inflammation markers 58% higher than non-drinkers in the same age group. The same level of consumption that might be relatively benign at 40 becomes genuinely dangerous at 68. Furthermore, alcohol after 60 interacts with an alarming array of common medications: blood pressure medications, cholesterol drugs, diabetes medications, sleep aids, pain relievers. These interactions can dramatically amplify liver toxicity. This isn't about abstinence as a moral position. This is about biology. Your liver's capacity has changed. The rules have changed with it. The pro tip here is to consider a genuine 30-day alcohol-free trial. Not forever, just 30 days. I have had dozens of patients do this and come back astonished at the difference in their sleep quality, their energy, their mental clarity, and when we recheck their blood work, their liver enzymes. I remember Linda, a 71-year-old retired nurse from Seattle. Linda was the picture of discipline. She exercised, she ate vegetables, she managed stress. Her one indulgence was a glass or two of white wine each evening, a ritual she had maintained for decades. She felt it helped her decompress. She came to me exhausted. Her sleep was fragmented despite feeling like the wine was helping her fall asleep. Her digestion was sluggish. Her morning brain fog was so severe she had given up driving before 10 a.m. Her liver enzymes told the story clearly. She was initially resistant when I raised the alcohol question. She had read the studies about red wine and heart health. She was a nurse. She knew the literature. I walked her through the age-specific research, the acetaldehyde accumulation, the enzyme decline, the medication interaction she was already experiencing. She agreed to 30 days. When she returned, she said, "I feel like someone turned the lights back on. I didn't realize how much that wine was costing me. I thought it was helping. I had no idea it was the source of half of what I was complaining about." That is the reality for many older adults who are doing everything right except this one thing, and you can experience that same return of clarity, energy, and vitality. Your body wants to give it to you. It just needs you to clear the path. Now we arrive at the #1 hidden liver destroyer in the American senior diet. And when I tell you what it is, I want you to think honestly about how often it appears in your daily life. Number 1, fructose, specifically high fructose corn syrup and added sugars in processed foods. Not table sugar, not the sugar in a whole apple. I am talking specifically about the high fructose corn syrup and concentrated added sugars that flood the processed food supply. They are in things you would never suspect: ketchup, barbecue sauce, bread, pasta sauce, canned soups, yogurt, salad dressings, granola bars, sports drinks, flavored oatmeal, even many products labeled as natural or wholesome. Here is why fructose is uniquely devastating to the liver compared to other sugars. Glucose, when consumed, is distributed throughout your entire body. Every cell can use it. But fructose is almost exclusively metabolized in the liver. Your liver is essentially the only significant destination for dietary fructose. When large amounts of fructose arrive at the liver simultaneously, as they do with processed food consumption, the liver becomes overwhelmed. Unable to oxidize all of it for energy, the liver converts fructose directly into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This fat accumulates in liver cells. It triggers inflammation. It drives insulin resistance. It produces uric acid, which damages both the liver and the kidneys. And it does all of this far more aggressively than any other dietary compound. A landmark study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that just 8 weeks of high fructose consumption produced measurable fatty liver changes in previously healthy adults. Not 8 years, 8 weeks. For adults over 60, the situation is even more acute. Research published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that high fructose intake accelerates the aging process of liver cells specifically, reducing their regenerative capacity and increasing their susceptibility to permanent damage. And here is the number that should genuinely alarm you. The average American consumes approximately 55 to 70 grams of added fructose per day, primarily from high fructose corn syrup in processed foods. The human liver can safely process roughly 25 grams. This means most Americans are delivering more than double what their liver can handle every single day, year after year. Let me share one final story that I think will bring all of this together. I remember William, a 78-year-old retired engineer from Dallas. William had been diagnosed with early-stage fatty liver disease 3 years before he came to see me. His previous doctor had told him to eat less and exercise more. He had tried. He had reduced his portions. He walked every morning. But nothing was changing. His liver enzymes remained elevated. He had gained 12 pounds despite his efforts. He was miserable and confused. When I sat with William and went through everything he was eating, we found it. He was not eating in excess. He was not living on junk food, but he was consuming processed foods throughout the day without realizing the fructose load they carried. A cup of canned tomato soup, a granola bar for a snack, 2 glasses of orange juice because his doctor said it was healthy, bottled salad dressing on his salad every night, barbecue sauce on his chicken, each one seemingly harmless. Together, they were delivering over 65 grams of added fructose to his already struggling liver daily. I helped William build a simple replacement system: real foods with minimal processing, whole fruits in place of juices, olive oil and lemon juice in place of bottled dressings, homemade sauces in place of processed condiments. 8 weeks later, his liver enzyme levels had dropped by 52%. His physician called him, surprised at the sudden improvement, and asked what medication he had started. William told him, "No medication, doctor. I just stopped poisoning myself." That is it. That is the whole secret. Not a pill, not a procedure, just stopping the daily assault that modern processed food delivers to your liver, and you can do exactly what William did. Now let me give you exactly how to implement this starting tomorrow. Here is your 30-day liver recovery protocol. Tomorrow morning, start by eliminating all beverages with added sugars or artificial sweeteners. Replace them with water, black coffee, unsweetened green tea, or water with fresh lemon. This single change begins reducing the daily fructose and artificial compound load on your liver immediately. This week, read ingredient labels on every packaged product in your kitchen. Look for high fructose corn syrup, fructose, and any ingredient ending in EOs in the first 5 listed ingredients. If you find them, replace those products one by one with whole food alternatives. By the end of week 1, you will likely notice a reduction in bloating and abdominal heaviness. Your morning energy may begin to improve. Within 2 weeks, swap your cooking oils to extra virgin olive oil as your primary fat. Add 1 serving daily of a liver-supportive whole food. Leafy greens like arugula, watercress, and dandelion greens, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, foods genuinely shown in research to support liver detoxification pathways. By the end of week 2, many people report clearer thinking and improved sleep quality. Within 3 weeks, if you have been consuming moderate alcohol, consider the 30-day break I described. This is also the point at which many patients first see measurable changes in energy levels throughout the entire day, not just in the morning. By the end of 30 days, if you have been consistent, your liver enzymes may show measurable improvement at your next blood work. Your physician may be surprised. You will not be. Here are the critical mistakes not to make. Do not try to change everything at once and feel overwhelmed. Pick 1 swap per week. Consistency over 30 days matters infinitely more than perfection in week 1. Do not replace processed foods with diet or low-fat versions of those same foods. That is trading one liver burden for another. Do not assume that because something is labeled natural, organic, or healthy, that it is free of added fructose or harmful oils. Read the ingredients every time, and do not stop exercising. Even gentle walking helps your liver use stored fat for energy and reduces the accumulation driving fatty liver disease. Remember this: you are not broken. Your diet has been broken. You have been given incorrect information, surrounded by foods designed to be convenient rather than nourishing, and marketed to believe that your declining health is just what aging looks like. It is not. Your liver has an extraordinary capacity to recover. Given the right conditions, liver cells regenerate, inflammation resolves, enzyme levels normalize, energy returns, mental clarity returns. The heaviness, the fog, the fatigue that you have perhaps started to accept as just the way things are now, those are symptoms of a liver under siege. Not the inevitable reality of growing older. Here is my challenge to you. Commit to this protocol for 30 days, just 30 days. Read labels, remove the fructose, replace the oils, reduce the refined carbohydrates, give your liver the break it desperately needs. Track how you feel each week. Notice the changes. Your body will begin telling you the truth. William did it at 78, Patricia did it at 74, James did it at 69, And Linda, a registered nurse who had read all the same research you may have read, who thought one change was too small to matter, did it at 71 and said it was the most significant health decision of her adult life. You have that same power. If you found this video genuinely helpful today, do not keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel so you never miss the real, research-backed health information we share every week for adults over 60, and share this video with someone you care about, a parent, a sibling, a friend. You may genuinely change the trajectory of their health. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 hidden liver destroyers surprised you most? Which one are you going to eliminate first? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and I truly want to hear your story. Because remember this, aging does not take away your body's ability to heal. It simply asks you to be more intentional about how you care for it, take care of yourself,